You're listening to the Making a Multi-Million-Dollar Med Spa podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to run a successful business. Thank you for joining us as we showcase and share our day-to-day successes and, even more importantly, failures and mistakes, and host some of our peers, colleagues, and other experts in the field.
Hi, this is Matt Toronto, and we are very excited about our newest podcast with our good friend, Dr. Lonny Green from Richmond, Virginia. Dr. Green is the founder and medical director of Rejuvenate MD, which just recently rebranded as Rêvée Aesthetics. Tune in as we chat about his very interesting career path, how he cultivates an amazing work environment, his favorite marketing tools, and much more. Dr. Green is a wonderful success story in the aesthetic industry. Okay, well, welcome. I'm here with Dr. Lonny Green, owner of Rejuvenate MD in Richmond, Virginia. And Lonny and Kathy and I have known each other for quite some time now. He's got a wonderful business, and we just want to chat a little bit with Dr. Green about his business, what's going well, and things that maybe we can all learn from him. So, Lonny, thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Matt. I appreciate it too.
And yeah, let's start. You've got just a fun background. Stanford undergrad, UCLA med school, Harvard, Australia, all that stuff for surgery. So briefly touch on that. And then what led you from putting in a huge amount of effort to be an amazing surgeon to getting into aesthetics and wellness?
All happened by accident, Matt. I would love to say I'm smart enough to have planned this, because I love this space. I love this life. I just love it. I had a successful career as a urologist who treated women. So I treated women all my career. And in fact, 2006, I joined an OBGYN group. And then I also am a firm believer in complementary and alternative medicine, not just Western. And I had a lot of women clamoring because they knew I believed in bioidentical hormone replacement. And to make a long story short, my partners wouldn't do it. I tried doing it in the practice. It didn't work in the insurance model. And I literally opened this place. I was here one day a week to try and serve patients who wanted alternative therapy for menopause. And that grew into some medically supervised weight loss. And then one day an aesthetic injector came, wanted to do some stuff here. I realized my license was over her, and I'm not kidding you. I was supposed to be an expert witness in a trial. It got settled at the last minute. I picked out a training course in Cleveland, AAFE, which I was very, very happy with, went to it. And I was only intending to be a supervisor over her. But the minute I had a syringe in my hand, I'm a surgeon, I could see what I could do. It was like a light bulb. I mean, it's like crazy.
That is awesome. So, and you opened Rejuvenate MD how long ago?
We opened in July of 2015. We did not start doing aesthetics for about a year and a half later. So, I am very, very blessed to have one ability. I don't have many abilities, Matt. I have one ability. I'm able to find really good people and just emulate the heck out of them. And so Rejuvenate has come a tremendous way. And honestly, there are three people, and your ears may be burning because I talk about you pretty often when people ask me. And this is what works for me. Okay, I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I have emulated Simon Sinek, Dr. Arthur Swift, and Matt and Kathy Toronto. I channel those three influences, and I credit you and Kathy, along with those other two people. And of course, I have a wonderful team. I mean, my team is the best. But as far as learning this space, learning what to do, learning how to be a leader, learning how to inject, and learning from you and Kathy just how to do this the right way. So I just sat back and watched and listened and learned.
Well, and I think, and we're the same way. I always tell people that there's a lot of people in this world way smarter than I am. And instead of me taking all the time to try to figure out how they got there, let's find them and let's learn from them. And, imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So, I think, you and I are on the same wavelength as far as, and even if you look at your website, you see some great pictures of your staff doing fun things together. What are some of the things you focus on? I'm a firm believer that my life gets a lot easier if I surround myself with wonderful people. how do you instill this amazing work environment into your clinic? What are some of the things that you do when you hire? What do you look for? Because we all know the team is everything.
Sure. Great questions. On the high level scale, I've really paid attention because to leadership issues. And as I said, I mentioned Simon Sinek, there's others, but I think you have to be cognizant if you're going to build a team, because my natural tendencies aren't always what the other tendencies are. And sometimes, just like being a parent, you have to let people go through their kids through their things. So we certainly have learned about hiring. We look, hire for personality and affability, and ability. But I can teach anyone to do almost anything, but I can't teach personality and overall demeanor.
Yep, totally
so we've
agree.
learned that. Yeah, we've learned that lesson. We try to get that out by talking to people beforehand. We now have people come in, spend time with us and the team before we make a decision, and so that's been really helpful. And there's a certain vibe that people seem to have, and we've been fortunate to find that. As far as the trials and tribulations, no matter, even if you hire the best superstar, there's going to be trials and tribulations. I view this I really do view this as my second family. And like any family, we put the fun in dysfunctional, right? There's going to be some times when, someone's not in a good mood or someone said something, and, I've learned, and this is part of my leadership stuff, is just, I've learned to be a little less reactive. Sometimes time, as a surgeon, I have a tendency to charge forward, but sometimes letting things work out. I also stayed up front, when we hire people, there's a couple of things we talk about. Number one is, I am way too old to come to work and not have fun, right? You guys wrote the book on that. If we're in this industry not having fun, right?
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong, yes.
Yeah. So we definitely keep it light. Matt, again, credit to you. You said one of the most important books you ever read was Put the Customer Second. Which had a big impact on me, because we take care of our patients, but we take care of each other,
Yep.
and that's crucial. And there have been times, various times when people have gotten into things, and we just lend a helping hand. We that's really important to us.
Yeah.
And we also clearly state our values. We value fun, honesty, excellence, optimism, and just, we breed that.
Yeah, I think it's great. I always tell people before I hire them that the world is filled with average people, and that's fine. But if you're average, you can't work here. We don't hire average people. So that's good. So tell me this, you've had this run, obviously, about 6-7 years. What's working the best for you? What technologies do you see that are really going well? And then kind of looking over the next 5 years, what do you see? Where do you see this industry going? Is there anything that you look at and say, man, this is what I'm really excited about moving forward?
Sure. Well, I will tell you, as a preface to that, somebody told me, don't worry so much about the wallpaper and the stuff, invest in training. I think his name was Matt Toronto. So I took that to heart. And so we have budgeted a lot for training. We also, I think that what I would tell people who are looking at this, I think a lot of areas exploding. Good skin technology with light-based therapies is important. I think med spas can go broke if they buy every laser out there.
Without
we
a
were
doubt.
lucky to, so we made a very informed decision. I was very, very fortunate. And again, I'm not saying what's right for everybody, but Sciton has been a wonderful partner for us. We love the platform. We've just expanded. So whatever someone finds the right one, research the heck out of it. I think that we are a little unusual in that when the aesthetic started growing with us, and I started reading the industry stuff, the sweet spot was the baby boomers more, because they had more disposable income. They were getting it to be 50 and 60. We have a very young vibe. We have a very energetic crew. Our millennial base is very, very strong. I absolutely adore them. I love all the age groups, but they will promote, they're just so engaged, they're so knowledgeable. So I think paying attention to your millennial base is absolutely crucial.
And I think they're also more in tune with starting early, preventing it. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to wait till my skin is bad. And you and I are about the same age group where when we were young, the coolest thing we could be is tan as humanly possible, right? And now obviously the baby boomers are paying for that. But don't you see that the millennials are a little bit more proactive?
Oh, 100%, Matt. They, first of all, self-care is not optional in that age, the millennial group. So they know about self-care, and yeah, they're being super preventive. I always tell them in my chair, I say, I wish I was around when you're 50, 60, you guys are going to be killing it. Like, it's crazy. And I think it's really smart. I don't advocate, overdone stuff, but if you are starting to see lines at rest in your skin, I mean, we all know what direction that's going, right? And then I love the term, people come in with some lines that are noticing and say, well, I want to do preventative Botox. And I put my hand on their shoulder and I say, this is therapeutic. I mean, the lines are there. So preventative means you never have. So we do early therapy, baby Botox, but I'm all for it. I think it's a great trend. I think the other trend that I see coming is the thing that's helping us along is that people are no longer ashamed to talk about it. And people are willing to call out when it's bad. I think that's important because otherwise you get people scared of filler or all these things, so I'm really glad the culture is changing.
So, one thing that I see in a lot of my consulting work is the feeling of, there's so much competition, and you've heard me talk. I mean, we have 55 aesthetic centers in a 15-mile radius of where I am. And I see a lot of people on their injectables feeling, especially on neurotoxins, I've got to be cheap. I've got to be $9.50 a unit, $10 a unit, or else people won't come, which I personally disagree with. But I'm curious as to how you kind of look at that, versus, hey, we're going to get people in our price versus no, we're going to get people in another way. Sure.
Great question. So I know this is a podcast, so I won't go get the visual, but if I had to, I would hold up a mirror and just show you that is our only competition. We don't pay attention. I mean, you want to know what people are doing, but our competition is us. I tell my team, we talk about this periodically. If we're not better today than we were yesterday, we're doing something wrong, and we better be better tomorrow. So that's the deal. As far as price, we have literally stop doing any specials at all. We do no specials whatsoever. Our specials, now we promote Ally and rewards programs, but our specials are spending enormous amount of time and talking to patients and explaining and coming up with a plan and telling them about the journey. We're not in and out. Take a page from you guys with the long consults, the hour-long consults. It's great. So we don't discount at all. And we have, my PA Jade is close her books because people were booking a year and a half is getting crazy. I'm booking into June of 2022. It has not impacted our business. So we're very fortunate.
That's pretty amazing. And that brings up a good point. So, one thing I always think about as an owner of a business, and you too, I love the saying or the quote, if you own a business that can't survive without you, you own a job. If you own a business that can thrive without you, you truly own a business. So when you see yourself getting that booked out and your PA getting that booked out, you guys have kind of hit a point where you've maximized almost, maybe you can tweak it a little bit. So what is your thought of, okay, we're here. When do I hire next? When do you look and say, hey, it's time? Because people do get impatient, right? You may be the best injector in the world, but if I can't see it till July, I might find somewhere else.
Absolutely. Well, again, we haven't fully announced this to the public, but we haven't announced it at all to the public, but we are moving. We are expanding. We are going into a 6,000 square foot building that awesome. We purchased a little. Yeah. So it's been 7 months in renovation. They're almost there. We have hired Becca to be our new injector, and we're going to train her ourselves. We have our eye on someone else. We're expanding our estheticians by 2 or 3. So I think, you have to make that jump. Did it incur capital costs? And am I, this was a huge move. I mean, sure. But at some point, I think you got to either, go big or go home. You got to believe. And if you believe, we believe, our mission statement that over the years has really, I've whittled it down. I don't know if I can get any shorter. It's now 3 words, because I'm a firm believer that if I go to anyone in my team and they can't tell me the mission statement, they should be like gone, right? So to help others. I mean, that is why we exist, right? And the team believes in that. We all believe in that. That's why we do our charity, our fundraisers. Again, another page out of your book. And to quote Simon Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy what you believe. And they don't buy what you do, they buy what you believe. It is totally true. People can come and we could have great injectors and things like that, but the passion is not there. We all have a passion for helping people, and people, especially millennials, buy into they sense it. The fastest way, if you want to run a med spa and want to have a clientele that's only 45 and older, just do things like put up stock photos, or don't show your warts, or be inauthentic. They won't ignore you. The millennials will run away from you. We're all about authenticity. You know, when the first couple of times I started shooting the videos in the background, people are like, "Well, the office is messy. They're going to see the back." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it is.
Who we are, yeah.
That's who we are." You know, if they want Beverly Hills chrome and steel, then they can go there. It's just not who we are. You got to be yourself, and nobody has to be like us. Just be yourself, whatever yourself is.
No, I love it. And, you know, I looked at that. I love your intro video on your website where you talk about yourself. Because I always say, you know, we're not in the treating business, we're in the relationship business, right? And when somebody walks through our door, our goal is not to give them a treatment. Our goal is to make them a lifetime client. And we want them to look at us as, hey, aesthetic care is my lifetime anti-aging consultant. What are some things you do other than, obviously you've got, you know, you're good at your treatments. What are some of the things you do to establish those lifetime relationships? You know, outside of just, you know, being a good injector or being a good laser operator, what are some things in your clinic that you feel create that loyalty? Sure.
It starts before they ever even pick up the phone or they ever walk in the door. It starts with social media for us. I can't tell you the number of patients who come in and say, "I feel like I already know you," or, you know, "I've been following you. I'm so excited," or "It's like meeting a movie star." It's like crazy. Yeah. I mean, I'm putting up videos of my dogs, you know, when I take them on the weekend, you know, I mean, but
by the way, it looks like we have a golden doodle. I think yours are golden doodles too.
Yeah, the goofiest things you could ever want.
Great dogs. Yes. We love ours.
Yeah. No, the doodles are great. And, you know, that's the deal. We're out there and people who, again, this was an evolution, but when we look for people to come on this team, we say, it's all out there, guys. Dr. Green's going to be annoying with the push in the video button. Another thing I did early on, and this was breaking the mold here, at least in Richmond, was when we brought on Jade, our PA, at the time, everyone had their providers under their Instagram because of the fear that if they left, they would just take all the people with them. You know, again, another wise person quoted someone else saying, "Train them so they can go anywhere and treat them so they won't," right?
Yeah.
So I followed their advice, and, you know, we each have our own Insta, which is great because then it allows the people out there to get to know our personalities again before they ever walk in. So that's a big cultivation. The next part is, you know, I don't know what other people do, but we spend a long time on Botox appointments. Now, we could get them in and out after a while, especially, but what's the next concern? We talk about things, we get to know them. And, you know, I will tell you, Matt, we had a different company come in and consult with us when we started having this rapid growth. And we said, "We're booked out this far and this is what our menu is." And they said, "Well, this is simple. First thing you got to do, you got to raise your prices and you've got to shorten your appointments." And I have an MBA. I knew they were going to say that. I said, "Well, thank you very much, but we're going to do neither of those." Mm-hmm. Number one, I know we could command a higher price, but our clientele is a bit price sensitive. They're not in the higher income earning years. And I don't want to do that. And the second thing is, again, too old to go to work and not have fun. A shorter appointment. I've been in the insurance world. I am not doing that again. I'm never doing that again.
You know, I agree. I've had consultants, I had a consultant look at my book, and the first thing he said when he reviewed my financials is, "You need to lower your payroll." And I did the same thing. I said, "You know, I got to tell you, we get the best people for a number of reasons. One, we've built up a reputation that we pay really well. And so I would rather have a higher payroll and less turnover. And, you know, just not have people leave. And one of my favorite things that we've done is, you know, the first nurse I hired 20 years ago is still here. People don't leave. And one of the first things I do when I consult with clinics is I look at their turnover, and to a T, is if you have high turnover, man, and it's hard for me to tell these doctors or owners, you got to look in the mirror because it's probably you. And I know, you believe that same way, but it makes such a huge difference, doesn't it, is to have people around that you develop that, like you said, it's like a family.
Yeah, one of my patients commented. So Becca, our esthetician, has been with me for like 4.5 years. Now she's become a nurse and she's chosen to come back. And even while she was in nursing school, she stayed doing aesthetics for us. So I think that does say a lot. Yeah.
And isn't that fun when you see in your staff their transformation as they grow in their career, in their personal life? I love that.
It is what life's about. I mean, our mission statement applies to the team, right? To help others. It's not just, it works. It's just it's a simple mantra.
Let me ask you this and it's curious because I work with a lot of clinics that develop a very big bond with one provider in injectables. So a number that, hey, we do nothing but Allergan. We do nothing but Galderma, or I hate both of those. We do some Jeuveau and stuff like that. Personally, I feel I like the competition. I mean, we use Allergan products, we use Galderma, and we use RHA, and they compete a lot for my business. What is your feeling on that? And we do Botox and Dysport. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so we evaluate products based on their merit, and there have been some I've kept and some I haven't. We do use Botox and Dysport. We have Galderma products. We have Allergan products. I think I'm a pretty hands-off person in terms of, like, my injector can use whatever she wants.
I agree.
Yeah, and I find certain things work better in my hands than others. I do feel that some of the companies align better with me, like and you can tell things like like some companies, the reps come in and they'll spend 20% of their time talking about the other companies.
Yes,
I like reps to come in, and I never want to hear, like, I don't talk about whoever's doing the stuff. I just want to hear about their stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a culture in a company that I respect, and so I tend to do more business with those businesses.
Yeah, I think good reps matter, and that helps when you build that relationship. So, on another point that I love what you've done, and I'm curious how you feel about the marriage of aesthetics and wellness. And we work with a really good anti-aging physician like yourself, and are big believers in balancing hormones, and we're looking at things like weight loss and some of these biologics like exosomes. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's an exciting time to be alive. I think there's all kinds of stuff out there. In terms of a business model, what I found was we didn't, I believe you guys might have brought that other stuff in after you were aesthetics, right?
Yeah, we were aesthetics first. Now we're just starting to.
So it's very interesting, and I've not shared this with you. So we started out with the bioidentical, and then we added on aesthetics. And I thought there would be a lot of crossover, but there really wasn't. And the reason for that was the medically supervised weight loss and hormone replacement we were doing was a different sort of price point, a different price sensitivity. So someone walks into aesthetics, they have an idea of what that costs, and they have put that in their mind. So we ended up stopping doing all of that other stuff, mainly because I just didn't have the bandwidth. I've learned to stay in my lane. I think that if you have an aesthetic clientele and then you add that, it's a very subtle difference, but I think that would work. It didn't work.
What I've seen is I do think you have to have your areas of expertise, instead of being a jack of all trades. So what we're going to do is we're going to just keep aesthetic care. It's going to be a separate business, separate staff, but I think the cross marketing can work because, we've been around so long, we have a huge database. And so we're kind of fiddling with that, but yeah, that's interesting because you started there and then morphed into aesthetics versus what we're doing.
Yeah, and I just thought of something just to backtrack for a second, because you asked me about pricing, and there's something I should mention because, again, this works for me. I'm not saying it works for everyone. Dr. Arthur Swift has been a huge influence on me. And
Montreal, Canada, right? Montreal?
Yeah, he's from Montreal, and I just was up there actually at another one of his conferences, but I've seen him in a couple of places. And I saw him in 2019 or something. I've only been a full-time injector about 1.5 years now. Like I've only done this full-time. So back when I saw him the first time, he spent, and his time is very valuable, is in this big conference. And at the end of the day, he spent almost an hour talking about how he prices. That's a lot of time. And the gist of it was, you know, you guys are providers. You should not charge by syringe. He said, I'm a plastic surgeon, and people come to me, they don't say, Dr. Swift, I want you to do my rhinoplasty. How much is it per stitch? He said, I walk into the OR, I create beauty, and I'm done when I'm happy with it. And so he said, you guys should do the same thing. And it was a pretty radical. So I dabbled and I couldn't do it. I saw him another time and I just didn't have the guts. In April of this year, I said, I better do it or get off the pot. You know what I mean? And so I announced, I'm no longer doing filler by syringes. I won't do it. When you come to me, I'm going to give you an assessment, a ballpark of what I need. And what that enables me to do is I can use the rainbow of fillers. So if you go to a painter and said, I want you to paint me a beautiful landscape, here's the color red, they would say, I could paint you a cherry or a tomato, but you're not giving me much. So this has transformed my practice. And I was worried that, and people said in here, there was a little naysayers, people who were skeptical and so no one's going to do that. And that's when I started getting booked out more. So for me, that works. I think we're in an industry where we grew up by syringe, but that's very artificial. Mm-hmm. And so any injector who's experienced can look at your face and say, yeah, this is how much I need to do good work.
Right.
And then do a fair price. And it's a win-win. Sometimes you'll be a little higher, sometimes lower, but it works.
It's interesting you said that. I just was in Minneapolis last week working with a clinic, and I met with a wonderful injector, and she was telling me the same thing. She has like 3 different levels. She never talks about number of syringes. Yeah. She shows them different photos of full correction. And as you know, what amount of correction are you looking for? Well, for this amount of correction, then it's a flat fee. And I thought that was really intriguing. And I got to research that more because I really found that interesting.
It has set me free, and I do I can use little bits of different products. It's just, it's very freeing. And I realize everyone has time and budget, so we break it into different areas, but it works for me.
Another question for you that everybody asks, obviously, we spend a lot of time on marketing. You have an established clinic, but you're growing, obviously. What are your favorite marketing tools? You know, as you know, we just don't do much traditional stuff, but how about you? What brings people in the door other than referrals? Obviously, the goal for everyone is referrals.
Yeah. So number 1, 2, and 3 is Instagram. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just is. We stopped doing Google AdWords. We did just for fun. We did a billboard on the big major highway and put my cool sculpting expert Ashley's face up there because I wanted to have fun with it. Yep. That's like the only paid thing we've done. So I tell my team, but does it cost us? Well, first of all, it costs sweat equity, but I've learned, again, years ago, I did an MBA program, and Fritz Wenzel stood up and said something, and I could have gone home. I didn't have to go to the rest of the course. He stood up, Fritz Wenzel stood up and said, show me how you pay them, and I'll show you how they behave. Boom, organizational behavior done. And that has never been sure. And I also believe that people deserve to earn more when they work hard. So we have KPIs, okay? So our key performance indicators is when our team, the guest relations, gets a review from someone, they get a certain number in a month, and they get more money at the end of the month. So you need to incentivize people. Now you have to do good work to get good reviews. Right. But if people come in and other than Instagram and referrals, they all say the same thing, Matt. They say, oh my God, you guys, I mean, we have over 500 Google reviews. They're every single one except one is 5-star. I mean, and we're not writing them ourselves really hard. I mean, that is so. And that people have to know, anyone who's listening, they have to know what the magic moment is. I mean, there's a magic moment. And if you do this, you will get tons of reviews. And if you don't, you will not get reviews. I do a treatment. I show them the mirror. Oh my God, elation, joy, bring them out to the front desk. That's when you ask for the review, right there. Yeah. And they don't even ask you. You ask them, pull your phone, you scan the QR code, say, hey, would you mind this? We're a small business. If you miss that magic moment, I mean, they're 3 steps out the door and the world is hitting them. Their kids are calling, right? I mean, that's it.
It's so smart. And I'm guilty of that because I know how powerful Google reviews are. And I'll go have a wonderful experience somewhere and I'll think to myself, man, when I get home, I'm going to do that. But you're right. Then you forget and you just don't do it.
You could, so Fred or Martha, right? They live next door to you. And when kids were little, you trusted them so much, you let them babysit your kids for a couple of days or hours, whatever. And then you're at Fred's house and you say, Fred, I need to get a new, like, a new hi-fi amplifier unit for this. He goes, oh, I got this one. It's great. So you go home, you look for that one, but then you look at all the Google reviews on it, right?
Yeah.
So you're trusting people. You've known Fred. You trust your kids to Fred, but but he says it's great. You need more information. You need to read reviews from total strangers. That's insane.
Yeah.
You trust your kid with Fred, but you still need to read the reviews. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's so funny. And I think Amazon has a lot to do with that, because you go to Amazon, one of the first things you do is look at the reviews, and, if it has 4.75 stars, you feel pretty good.
Yeah.
If it has 3 out of 5, you're probably not buying it. So yeah, it is amazing. So, hey, what do you think, before we close up, what are your goals in the future here? You've done well, you're moving to a new facility, you're expanding. What do you see? I mean, kind of when you look at yourself in 5 years, what do you see happening?
I think that from a business standpoint, I see Rejuvenate continuing on the mission of helping others. And we have expanded services. Actually, we're bringing in a massage therapist. So we might expand some services. We have expanded their services. And I want to have controlled growth, because we have been approached, you guys, I'm sure, by private equity and becoming a chain and everything. And that's the trend. That's where it's going. But it's not what, if my mind was on the dollar, it's obviously where I would go, but that's not where my mind is. I want to, so in a big view, Matt, I believe that we're on this planet for a short time. We have a reason for being here. So at the end of the day, I want to know that I followed everything in my heart to help others, and the other stuff just fell in place. That's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny when I work with listen, nobody has a non-for-profit skincare center, right? We do want to make a decent living. But I will tell you, I think the people who try to squeeze every penny out and that's their goal, I do think you missed the boat a little bit on what you said of just the joy of having people. One of the best things that happened to me recently, I was in Lowe's and a woman walked up to me and said, hey, you're Matt Toronto, aren't you? And I didn't recognize her. And I said, yes. And she goes, you own aesthetic care? And I said, yes. And she said, well, I'm a client. And I say, and I want to tell you the reason I'm a client is my husband and I are very involved in philanthropy in Kansas City and try to make this a better place. And she said, every charity event we go to, you guys are there. You're donating things, you're donating. And she said, you're so active in the community. And I thought, that's just a nice thing to hear. And I know you guys do the same, right? You're involved in Richmond.
Well, I'll tell you, Matt, I've got to thank you and Kathy. We have sponsored domestic shelters for domestic abuse. We've went to a farm and we took the team to a farm, a working farm that grows food to give away for free.
I saw pictures of that on your website.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. And I was inspired by you guys. That has made such a difference because, again, the team believes in what we believe, and you're walking the walk. So you give the great example in your consultation about the landscape architect and the kid who's selling the big screen TV. So I'll give you, if anyone's listening to this and they're just starting down this journey of a med spa, is, if you have to ask yourself, do you have that kind of passion? Because if you don't, you're probably going to not be successful or happy. So if you have the passion, like you described with that kid with the big TV, and like I always say in my room, I say, they talk about doing fillers. I say, I cannot believe people pay me to do this stuff. Like I would sit here and do this for free all day long. And they know it. I mean, I would. It's true. It's the same when I was a surgeon. You could put me in the OR and I could operate all day, happy as a clam. So you have to have the passion.
Well, and I think I always tell people, and you have talked about this, that if you can truly show somebody through the way you talk and way you perform that you are a true expert, but also truly show them that you love what you do, the chance of you getting their business is really high.
Yeah.
And I think, and I really encourage people watching this podcast to go to your website. It's rejuvenatemd.com.
Yeah, rejuvenate-md.com. But if they actually want to know our character, I would suggest they go to rejuvenate_MD at Instagram. Go to Ninja Injector, all one word, at Ninja Injector. You can follow other links, Jade Ramadan, PAC. Once you get there, you'll find the rest of us. But each team member, we have the RVA Skin Fairy. And
no way.
Yeah, the RVA Skin Fairy. That's Ava, our Skin Fairy. Ashley is Cool Sculpting RVA. Jade is at Jade Ramadan _PAC, and I'm Ninja Injector. And that's our personality. If you want to know our brand and who we are really, it's not so much, and it's part of it is the post, but the stories, really have fun. I mean, this morning I posted something of this crazy energy brain boosting drink because it's Monday morning, and we're having a team dinner tonight, actually. So I'm sure there'll be some fun stories coming out. But
that's awesome. Well, it's funny because I think it's important to find really good people, like you said, learn from them. And so we like following a bunch of people. I know a bunch of people follow us. How many Instagram followers do you have?
I think Rejuvenate's got about 5,000, and it's been interesting. And I'm growing. I've got about 3,000 now.
Wow.
But I've never done a giveaway. I should probably be more attuned to the number of followers. But it's sort of like our competition. I go every day. I show up. I put out what I do. And, I think some of that is a little inflated, but the people who do follow me, or the people that talk to me, are pretty passionate that I've connected with them. This whole full facial thing. I hear people all the time. I say either, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing it this way," or "I wish I lived there." I mean, it's really hit a nerve. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I think we plan on doing a lot of these, and just what you and I said, finding really good people, passionate people, and learning from each other. I think that's just such a great way for all of us to grow. And I love what you said that, if I'm not better tomorrow than I'm today, something's wrong. Because I think so many people get to a point in their career and they do this, everything's kind of, I've gotten here instead of this. It's a lot more fun when you do this, isn't it?
Fat cats don't hunt,
There you go.
Yeah.
So
no, listen, it's the least I could do. You and Kathy, I was so glad that Lauren, my practice manager, could come and at the Washington site hunting. You were both there because, like, the minute Kathy started talking, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm a girl fan." I'm a girl. I got a girl crush on her.
Yeah.
I mean, she is so exuding passion, and she's so wonderful. And of course, she knows everything about lasers. And your insights, I think you have been a boon to this industry. About the Cyton unit, and I said to them, I don't know if I've ever told you the story. I said to the rep, I said, okay, because they were going to bring in the company training, right? Yeah. I said, that's fine, but I want to get privately trained, and I want to go to a place where they do like more of this than anywhere else. And here in the back of my mind, I'm like, I got a trip to Miami or New York or LA. I keep thinking all these places I'm going to go.
All the exotic places.
Yeah. And the rep says Kansas City. I go, all right, Matt, there's Matt Cooper. I said, all right, what's the joke, Matt? I'm thinking, I want to go to a place where they do a lot of these. He goes, no, really? Kansas City, they have like 7 machines. I'm like, no way. So you guys are doing great things for the industry. I love your e-course. We love the e-learning. That's been a great tool for us. And, just being able to inspire. So, it's the least I can do to pay back. I told you, Swift, Cynic, and the Toronto team, there's why Rejuvenate's Rejuvenate. I owe it all to you guys.
That is nice of you to say, but when you work with good people like you, it's easy. It's all easy. So, well, listen, thank you so much, and continued success to you. You got 6 kids. My gosh, that's a lot of it, and, that's the neat thing, because you probably create a nice balance of life. You got your kids, you got your business, you got your dogs. I mean, and you like to do a bunch of stuff outdoors. Congratulations to you. Obviously that smile on your face shows you how happy you are.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. And give my love to Kathy.
I will. Thank you for tuning in to the Making of a Multi-Million-Dollar Med Spa podcast. For helpful links and more information about any of Mint's training tools and resources mentioned in today's episode, be sure to visit mintaesthetics.com/podcast.